And I think today Michael is just telling us about another project which they're working on, and that is not in Germany as they originate from, but in Portugal. And Michael, without further ado, I would like you to shine light on what are your current plans with the factory in Portugal?
Yeah, Simon, thank you very much for the introduction, and also thanks to TraWeBa that I can have this short pitch of our project in Portugal. I'm now, I hope my slides are seen. Yeah, okay. So again, EIS now for almost 30 years is working in the field of the development and production of large format cylindrical cells with a focus on LFP and also battery systems. So we have commercial products in the market, but our main line of business is actually the development services we offer around cell development, cell testing, and also battery development and prototyping of cells and batteries. But now we want to go the next step and go into the mass production of a very high-performance LFP cells that we developed during the last years here at our site. And that is up to around 3 gigawatt-hour capacity plant we envisage to set up in Portugal. So again, everything is based on the knowledge of EIS around lithium-ion technology, but also about the Monbart Group, who is the owner of EIS. It's the third largest lead-acid producer in Europe. And with their industrial know-how and our lithium-ion know-how, I think we have a very low-risk approach to the mass production of lithium-ion cells. The project itself has a capex of above 300 million euros. We are already being offered state aid for that project, and now we are in the last meters of signing the loan contract, the grant contract, hopefully by end of next week. The project overall focuses on the production of 46 𝗕ૠ𝗏 and also 1400 LFP cells, both high power and high energy cells. And the markets we are looking at the automotive market in the 12-volt area. We already have LOIs by large automotive companies that are very interested in the cells we produce, but also other markets like non-road mobile machines, industrial markets, and so forth. So we already work for a long time as a developer and prototyper for a number of very prestigious companies. And with all these contacts already developed over the last years, I think we have an easy start and will also be able to sell the produce right from the start of our production. I just skip quickly over the slides. You see the market growth, especially lithium-ion in industrial mobility and commercial and industry storage will rise quickly during the next years, and this is what we're going to focus on. And with the capacity of only 3 gigawatt-hours and the existing client contacts we have, I think there's a low risk of not selling the products. Our approach is very unique. So our intent is to have a fully European production in that sense that we use mainly European equipment to produce the cells. We will base the production of water-based solvents. So both anode and cathode will be water-based, so no NMP will be used. And we will also source the raw materials mostly in Europe. So both LFP and the graphite and the electrolytes will all come from European suppliers, or at least mostly. So for those where it's very important to have a completely European supply chain, we can offer this and guarantee this. So again, we have already products in the market, commercial products. We are not in that sense a startup. We're just expanding our capacity, which is currently minimal in Europe, in Germany, and then extend it to 3 gigawatt at the Portugal place. So again, we are now about to sign the grant agreement, and now we are looking for investors. Quickly go through this investor line that support us for the next steps to start kick off the engineering and develop the project team in the beginning of next year, so that we by 2029 then have all the money spent, invested, and start production. I would like to stop here because I already have now 5 minutes done, and then we have 3 minutes more for answers, questions and answers.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Michael, for giving us the short but very important pitch, because you're holding up the European flag with your initiative. And I would like to ask the audience if there is anyone who wants to raise a question to Michael. Otherwise, I will bombard him with questions, so be fast. So let me ask the first one, Michael, until our audience has warmed up. What is the rationale for the 3 gigawatt hour capacity target?
Yeah, so the reason why we start with 3 gigawatt hours is that at that scale, you already see the first significant economies of scale. So you can substantially lower your production costs. But at the same time, you only focus on making 2 coaters, anode coater and cathode coater, run properly, but at an industrial scale. And that is probably the lowest risk possible approach for setting up a giga plant. If you aim too high, your losses you incur during the commissioning phase and ramp up phase will be, at least for our company, not bearable.
Is it me, or have we lost Michael?
I'm still here.
So my internet connection was gone for a second. You were frozen on my screen. My apologies.
I might have frozen, I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe, but I think you can also reconfirm that also from a supplier perspective, the machines that you can buy in Europe at the moment, they're also suited for that scale, correct? I mean,
Yes.
that is what I see on the battery expedition, for example.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think this is a very, very important endeavor. You said you address many markets, mainly non-automotive, I think, in the future, but we'll see how the market will develop. And yeah, if there's anyone who wants to invest, reach out to Michael, I think. We'll put the contact info in the chat. And there with Max, I would like to hand over the microphone to you.
Yeah.
Yes, Simon, thank you very much. And thank you, Michael, for the very interesting pitch. Yes, we are moving to the next speaker. And the next speaker is actually a network, not a company, and a network which is really active in Portugal. With Diogo, I met this year in Barcelona, and since then we worked really closely together on different topics, and therefore I am very delighted to welcome him on stage today to present what his battery cluster is doing in Portugal. And therefore, Diogo, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Max. So let me know if my screen is properly shared. If you can see it.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, perfect. So good afternoon to everyone. I'd like to thank for the invitation to speak here at the Battery Spotlight. I think it's very fortunate that Michael just presented his plans for AES in Portugal. I know them for some time now, but it's good to hear them out loud here. So my name is Diogo Fula. I'm the general manager for the battery cluster in Portugal, and I'll be guiding you how we're building the Portuguese battery ecosystem here in Portugal. So as a country, we're not in a geographically central position, as you know. In fact, we're the westernmost country in continental Europe, and with a land area that's about 20% of the size of Spain, we're not a huge country. Spain is our only land neighbor, and to the west and south, we're bordered entirely by the Atlantic Ocean. Sorry, by just doing a general context. But also, Portugal stands out in some key areas. We have one of the highest shares of renewable electricity among the EU countries. Often, we're exceeding 60% of the total electricity produced or consumed. It's from renewables, and in 2024 is the highest here. It was considered the second highest exposure to renewables, following closely Denmark with 87.5% of total consumption by renewables. Portugal also holds the 9th largest lithium reserves in the world, making it a key player in Europe's raw materials supply. And the country has some key advantages that make it an interesting place to invest in the sector. Some of them is the abundance of engineer personnel, also chemistry, chemists, etc. Lower than usual wage by European standards, and energy prices which are very competitive when compared to Central Europe, for example. Most recently, the country has become a destination for major investments in the battery sector, from lithium extraction to lithium refinery, but also cathode material production, cell and battery assembly, and also recycling within the country. When it comes to natural resources, Portugal is fortunate to have lithium reserves, significant by European standards. These reserves mainly come from spodumene-rich pegmatites, and current estimates point to around 60 million tons of lithium content, 39 of which are from Savannah Resources, which is the most advanced mining that we have in Portugal, which is going to start production in 2028. We also got distinguished with 4 EU strategic projects under the Critical Raw Materials Act, 2 of them for lithium extraction, 1 for lithium refining, and 1 for copper and zinc extraction. Given the scenario and the upstream activation of this segment as already triggering additional investments across the other stages of the battery value chain, including refining, cathode active materials, and also cell manufacturing. Consider all announcements that we've seen in the last year or so, or in the last 2 years. All investments come together, come close to 7 billion euros of investment, corresponding roughly to 2.2% of national GDP. Currently, we have 60 associate paying members spread across the supply chain, and this number is expected to increase this year. Please keep in mind that operations of the battery cluster started in January 2024, so we're increasing at a high pace. And this started with 14 companies in January of 2024. So with this growing momentum around lithium, around renewables, around the big battery-related investments, coordination has become essential, and this brings us to the role of the Battery Cluster Portugal. The cluster is a regional sectorial non-profit private organization, and it was created precisely to respond to this need for structured collaboration across the sector. To support this mission, we're working together with our partners with various initiatives. One of which is, and to finish my presentation, is in order to help the new players to navigate the sector and develop. We are developing a new platform to better connect the industry to our research and to make technology transfer more efficient and effective. We call it the NGS Plus. The new generation storage platform. And if you're interested, I might talk a little more in the Q&A. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to reach out to us or to any of our partners, please feel free to do so through the email on the screen or on the Q&A. I'll do my best to make that connections happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diogo. So if there are questions from the audience, just raise your hand, unmute your microphone, and ask your question. Otherwise, first question from my side, Diogo. I mean, we talked already quite a lot also on the Future Battery Forum about the importance that we are tackling the problems we see in the battery industry right now on a European scale, not on a national scale. Could you comment on how do you see the role of Portugal in such a European battery ecosystem?
Well, I see Portugal as one of the players. I don't see ourselves as the Cristiano Ronaldo of the battery sector. I don't. I think we have some key advantages, but in order to compete, I think Europe has to work together, all countries or the majority of the countries that are more invested in the sector. I do think, although the political climate is not the best one right now, some key opportunities arrive from here, from the climate, especially on the defense part, where we are seeing already a lot of contracts being provided to our partners, and where basically buying from abroad, it's not a good perspective in order to have those projects accepted. So European supply chains, and especially from ground, so from extraction up to the cell manufacturing, that's where the bottleneck is. I think this is where we need to concentrate. And this, I think we have some key advantages. But as I said, we have to work with Germany, we have to work with France, we have to work with all of our partners in order to be one big country.
All right. Thank you very much. And I think with this, time is flying and it's already time for our next speaker. Just if you have more questions to Michael, to Diogo, you can always post the questions in the chat as well. Okay, and yeah, with this, Simon, I think we have to introduce our next speaker.
So yeah, picking up on Diogo's beautiful words, right? We need to form one team, like all countries together. And this is why I was traveling Europe this year to identify all the competences. One company I have not visited yet, but I have on the list for next year, hopefully. But I have worked with that equipment already extensively, is our next speaker. And that is Susanna Beltrame from ANDRITZ/Fula/Szwagiel. And they make battery production equipment. And as Michael in his pitch elaborated, we want to build this European. So Susanna, can you explain a little bit on your work and what you can deliver to those factories we are foreseeing?
Thank you, Simon, for your very good introduction, which is sparing me some minutes just to explain who we are and the many companies that are part of the ANDRITZ group. I hope you can see my screen. I would like to start with a question to the audience. I will drop a quick poll in the chat if everybody is willing to answer. So what is the biggest challenge in cell manufacturing? Because we as machine builders, we are know that there are many challenges in this building up this industry in Europe. And so we have identified a few, which are, of course, having a reduction on the scraps, CE safety compliance, increase of the overall equipment efficiency, quality control, or maybe on the equipment, reduce the failure rate. But I would really love to hear also some of your thoughts. So please reply to the poll in the chat, and maybe we can share later on the results. That would be if you leave your email. Just a few words about us. ANDRITZ is a big machine, let's say, plant, a machine builder based in Austria. And 3 years ago, the group acquired Szwagiel, which has been already active in the battery business and equipment for battery business for a few years. And we are now positioning ourselves as possible partners for those that are planning to to build their factories in Europe. We see a challenge here because competition is on a cell level, but also for machine builders. There is a lot of competition from Asia. They have more know-how about the process. They have learned a lot about their high-speed production, how to do it. At the same time, we have our own experience as machine builders in Europe with a lot of attention to other topics such as reliability, robustness of the equipment, and of course compliance with EU regulations. And so the question we asked us ourselves was how we can work on what the world has already developed as technology to build something that can be really worth for the European battery value chain. So our answer was, since ANDRITZ is a very large group, we have 280 companies in the world, and order intake that goes around between 8 to 10 billion euros, just to give you an idea of the size. We want to leverage of these global capabilities and work more closely with the Austrian key players, I mean the machine builders in Asia, to bring technology in Europe, not just buying or reselling, but more just providing our know-how and learning as well in with this co-engineering approach. Because the time is short, and if we want to be competitive, we need to be fast. And there is no time to develop in Europe only the technologies that we need also for the manufacturing to supply in the short term what is needed. So in the meantime, we can build up on the long term. So this is my message, or our message to the audience. We are, I mentioned it before, we are machine builders in the cell manufacturing. We are mostly active in the cell assembly and cell finishing, but we have other entities in the group that are also active in these other areas that are not highlighted in blue. And I think I've been pitching quite fast because I didn't see the raised hand by Max, so I have more time maybe to answer some questions now, if it's not being clear enough.
So thank you, Susanna, for the quick elaboration on the competences you provide. I have a question, but I want to give the audience the first shot if they want to. But I don't see one in the chat yet. If there is anyone, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I want to ask the critical one, to be fair. You know, my agenda with the expedition is to showcase the European potential. And I think we have quite a lot of competences out there to really build this purely European. Now, you're proposing to join forces on some extent. Can you explain a little bit more in detail, like what those corporations will consist of? And can you also name a couple of examples potentially why you're trying to bridge the gap there? I'm not against this, but we need to do it on eye level and keep, I think, the sovereignty. So maybe you can elaborate on this.
Yeah, of course, we need to keep the sovereignty, but what we can see really from the market is that currently those that are building up their factories, they need to go into production quite soon. And the machine builders themselves, they require a lot of investments in R&D to develop, the scale that it's needed for mass production. Because I think we have quite a strong, it depends, of course, on the different parts of the process, but so this gap towards the higher, let's say, productivity, it takes time, it takes investment, it is costly, and both for the machine suppliers and of course for the manufacturers, they need to have a capex, and the risk to buy the equipment that is not perfectly tested is very high for those that are starting the production now. So how we can downgrade a little bit this risk, working on technologies that are already proven on the market and on the cell manufacturers in China or Korea, and where they are already running properly. And so many issues have been solved already for, let's say, high-speed production.
Mhm. What would be a particular example if you would need to name one?
I mean, also for stacking machines, for example, or winding or these key processes, of course, we need a very high precision at a high speed. And it's not easy to reach these parameters I mean, automation-wise. So this kind of development of solutions, it's we have the know-how, but ramping it up, that's the part that needs more research. And so we don't want to put all the cost for this investment on those that are already investing a lot of capex now to build up the factories.
I found this important to elaborate a little bit more, because we don't need to build the picture that we don't have the competence to build the equipment. You do have that, like you and also many others in the field, but the experience on how to industrially use it to go through the ramp up, this is the critical part right now, right? So it's more on the operational end, bringing in the experience that you're saying there. I think this is a take-home message for everyone, right? This industry is not being built just by flipping a coin or just with a blink of an eye, but it needs dedication and a little bit of time and partnerships. So I understand your strategy, and if you want to have European battery equipment with a little bit of Asian experience, then contact Susanna, I would say. So with that, thank you, Susanna, and I hand over the mic to Max again.
Thank you very much. And it's a high-paced format, but we are perfectly on time since we are halfway through. I want to introduce the next speaker by giving you a short or a question or to cite somebody I heard on the Future Battery Forum. He says, if you have 10%, you're losing money. If you have 5%, you make money. If you have 2%, you get incredibly rich. Of course, I'm talking about the scrap rate when you're producing batteries. It's a very important part of the battery production, and I'm very happy that we got hands on an expert in scrap rate reduction. And with this, I welcome Adrian to the stage. Adrian, I'm really looking forward what you can tell us how scrap rates can be reduced. And the next 4 minutes are yours.
That's perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to present today. I was checking in the chat and I saw that one of the main concern is main goal is to reduce the scrap rate. So it's definitely the right time to talk about that. So from my side, I'm Adrian Szwagiel. I'm working in the company Gekatex for 15 years. I am a specialist in the cleanliness, especially for the automotive and aerospace business that we are working with for 15 years. And today we will talk about our company and what we are doing in the EV battery business right now. So just to share a little bit of knowledge about our company. So Gekatex Group is a French group. We are on the market for 45 years now. We specialize ourselves again in the contamination control. So we learn a lot about standardization, best product, best practice around the globe for the biggest OEM automotive. And now we are using this knowledge to go and engage with the gigafactories and the high-tech industries. So right now what I discovered, and during my last 18 months of visiting this EV battery and gigafactories, I can see that there is no real standard product used and standard, I would say, process used to keep the process clean and efficient. So that's why we engage right now with Envision, Verkor, Samsung SDI around these topics in order to improve these, I would say, processes and reduce the scrap rate. So how we do that? We are going to see the first, I would say, problematic that you will all see in the gigafactories is that we see that in winding machine, all those machines, people running around, moving things, are creating a lot of, I would say, dust, a lot of contamination. And the worst one is the metallic dust and copper dust that is going directly on the yield and directly on the raw material and creating some short circuits and a real main problem, because these fibers and a lot of contaminating, I would say, particles are going pretty everywhere. It could be random. So we try to understand how we can provide the knowledge from all those really old industries and really, I would say, maximize industry to the gigafactories. So doing this report, we saw that mainly, of course, the right clean room product, clean room wipes are available, and it's a must-have. But also, we also see that for the main contamination, the metallic parts, the products which are used today are not the right one. We have a product which is just here, as you can see, it's like a sticky wipe that we are using. It's a totally clean and lint-free product with a little bit of mix of glue on it, which can take out all the metallic and heavy contamination from your machinery and from your process, allow you to retain and not like have like cross-contamination and problematic. You can clean only once, and then you have a clean process, and you can safely say that you are saving a lot of money on the scrap rate. Here you can see it's open topic that we have with a customer right now. We see that he's spending 45,000 euro of scrap per week. And we can safely say that right now we can save it by 20% with these specific wipes and specific process to clean up. So this is the first problem that I saw during this visit, but also a second one, which is a really major one, because we have to keep in mind that it's really important to produce right product, but it's not a question to have a safety. So really the safety is like the top priority on that one. So as you can see here, it's when in the beginning of your process of the gigafactories, you have to pour on some powders and some like raw material there. And we see that there is no standard to make it. And during my visits, a lot of time I had to go out from the room because there was too much risk of explosion. So we created a specific wipes, which are, as you can see on the left side here, it's an ESD wipe. You can see the fibers, carbon fibers inside, which permits a kind of dissipative effect on the floor, on the wall, and on the machine, reducing the risk of explosion and of the contamination. And the second one is the glue wipe to remove the fine dust, and not using mops from Villeda or other guys like that for the standard, but really a specific product which gives you a perfect control on your safety. So thank you very much for your attention. We are totally open to work with you, as we know that the raw material is really important, so we don't want to waste it anymore. So please think about us for the scrap control. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So yes, if there are questions, just put them in the chat. And maybe let me start with the first question. You mentioned metallic dust as one of the main problems.
Right.
Can you, or could you give us an overview? Is it only the metallic dust which is causing the scrap rate, or are there other problems as well? And could you maybe give them, I'm not sure if a percentage, like it's hard to put direct numbers on it, but give us an idea like how important these things are to the scrap rate.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. Yes, it's metallic dust. I would say you have it a lot from the machineries which are running, especially on the ramp-up phase. So you can have a lot of fibers from that. But also copper, which is a little bit more dangerous because it can do mod B, so it can directly mix with the yield. So you are not seeing the problematic directly, but after you've done your production, you can see that your battery life shelf will go really, really fastly down. So these two are the main ones, but also we saw some really specific like hairs, fibers, and it could also cause some issues, but not as major as metallic, which can do short circuits and some real problematic for the end product.
Then maybe one more follow-up question, because especially when talking about China, we are always talking also about incredibly or in increasingly automated systems. The less human interaction is there in the battery production, the less errors can happen. And as you mentioned, like the less hair and dust particles come into the production. Do you still see, especially because of the metallic dust, that a huge amount of automation is then becoming a problem due to these particles? And could your solutions help with fully automated production lines as well?
That's right, yes. We've created some specific rules to assist one of the French company for the ramp-up phase right now. And yes, there are less and less people on the line, but what we are doing right now is to make like a check, a free check per week, like a real into the deep check that they are doing. So they are performing with, for example, a clean wipe, a white for one size, and cleaning some really specific spaces on the machine to see if the general cleaning was done right or not. So we are also trying to control this contamination of fully automatic systems. So we are doing some specific testing for checking that. So yes, it's not only human, but it's also keeping your environment clean.
All right. Thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you.
And yeah, with this, Simon, I'm heading over to you for the next speaker.
I always have to unmute it first before I want to talk, right? So thank you very much for these insights. And yeah, a long-lasting battery is important, and the quality measures we just learned about. But now let's come to the application and to battery storage devices. And this one, a special one from EDENenergy, and our speaker is Florian Bierwirth. And he is co-founder of EDENenergy and wants to tell us how we can use old e-bike batteries to build battery storage devices. So yeah, please go ahead and share your pitch with us.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Yeah, we are on the second live part of batteries, and I think everybody who knows Wolfgang can easily comprehend what we are doing. We are doing what Wolfgang is doing to EV batteries, and we are doing it to micromobility batteries. So basically, those who already got it can now have an easier time listening to my other slides, because we see that millions of those e-bike and e-scooter batteries are discarded while they still have a big potential to store energy, and that's where we found a solution for, because also we see the EU regulation is also now demanding to prioritize the reuse of batteries over the recycling. And while recycling is really important at the end of a life, it shouldn't be too early to recycle those batteries. But especially with a variety of many different batteries and battery modules and different manufacturers and different systems and all those different connectors, it's hard to put them in one energy storage. So what we are doing is we are partnering with more and more companies, for example, e-scooter fleet providers, to use their batteries, which they discard, and put them into our energy storage. So we are developing this at the moment at Fraunhofer-ISE still, where at the heart of our technology, we have what you see in the upper part of the picture, this PCB, which allows us to flexible integration of up to 10 batteries within one power electronics, and all together can be then inside one energy storage that we can scale in a bigger amount, so that we can also provide industry storage. But this would be now the sample for home storage, typical home storage, and this we can sell, of course, directly to consumer, but then also we could be the first sustainable storage that, for example, 1,5 grad provides within their product storage that they offer to their customers. So we are right now a team of 5. In the picture, we only have 4 of us, but 5 at Fraunhofer-ISE, and we are also preparing our connection with investors, but also with the University of Freiburg for the battery expertise. And now what we are looking for here, I think there's so many people in this audience that I put some of those things out there. While some of you are some established companies, we are a startup very early phase. So you might take a screenshot of this or look it up later if you have somebody who might help us with connections to where we can get those batteries from, because all those battery fleet operators, they have to pay for disposal of the batteries, or also I think as a network of TraWeBa, we might have a different pressure to go to the OEMs and ask for BMS access, because it would make things for Second Life so much easier if we would have the access to the original BMS. But also, for example, if you want to partner for product development of our energy storage, that we can partner there, or production facilities, this will help us. We are right now in the process also of certification, setting up which certifications do we need and how can we get them. So if you've experience in any of those fields, or also have investors who might be interested, go ahead and connect us with those. And yeah, also I think it's a topic which is not so hard to comprehend. So I'm also looking forward for your questions, as I'm quite good in the time, I think, that you can, might give me your inputs or your questions for what we are doing. Yes, so we're at the early stage. I have to sum it up. We are still prototyping at the moment, but long term, we want to find a solution how millions of batteries don't have to go to recycling too early, but can end up in energy storages, at home storages and industrial storages. Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks. Hey, Florian, thank you for your pitch. Is there any urgent questions from the audience? Let's see, I think one post, 1 second, I'll scroll down. One new. No, I think there's not a question, but I have one.
You're very good at asking questions, both of you guys. You're doing a great job for the whole audience. You're asking the questions.
Thank you. Until now, and now you will blame me for asking the question that comes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm asking in terms of your business model. I mean, generally, if you want to have a competitive product in terms of pricing, you try to go on, like, use scaling effects, right? So Wolfgang, you mentioned them earlier, they're using automotive batteries. So you're going on micro-mobility. Yes. My critical question there is, in my understanding, there's a whole variety of different battery systems. Isn't it quite hard to scale this in terms of building one system that can deal with all those different formats that are out there?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the major challenges that we will face while scaling. We see at the early beginning that now for the first years, we can rely on those fleet managers. For example, DOT, we can, or BMZ, we can receive thousands of batteries of those. And therefore, we can also specialize our product around those where we get a lot of the same variety of the batteries. So this helps for the market entry, and I think is a focus now for the next years. But later, of course, we want to face the challenge of all the variety of battery modules. And I think therefore we have our power electronics is very easily able to handle the differences, as each of those battery modules can be connected with their own converter. But I think in terms of not having to take the batteries out of the housing or of the casing and using the plug that they have, I think that's where the challenges arise, and also the different geometries. So we see that there are some also approaches who try to disassemble the whole module and then to reuse in a second life the individual cells, 18650 cells. But we think this is too much effort, even though it would help you with the thing that you just mentioned. But I think, for the next years, we have thousands of battery modules that we can use in an easier way, that we can focus on a few. And especially once we are big enough to partner with Bosch or something like this, they are like 30 or 40% of the e-bike market in Germany. I think this would help us also.
Yes, certainly. I mean, once you have a partner like that, where you kind of fit in the loop on extending the life of their batteries, I can foresee that. Yeah, very interesting concept. And so to everyone, shout out if you want to know more, hit up Florian. Link is in the chat. And yeah, looking forward to see you growing.
Thank you very much. I already see some of LinkedIn requests popping in. So thank you very much.
Perfect. That's what this format is for, right? Okay, so I think Max, we're doing a very good job on timing this time, and I will want to keep it this way. So I hand over the microphone to you now.
Yeah, thank you. Talking about efficiency, I think the next speaker is a perfect match to our event or our way of presenting, because they work all about efficiency, especially the efficiency to use materials. And they are right now moving. So far they were regional, located in Germany, but they are moving now to offer something from for the regional aspect to the international community. And yeah, with this, I am really looking forward to welcome Nadine on stage to tell us more about how to use the resources more efficiently and actually what you can offer in international community.
Yes, thank you so much for the intro. And I would say it fits so well to the presentation we just heard from the last speaker. So I'm really looking forward to get in contact with you. So I'm super happy to be here and for this great opportunity to share our activities and our special workshop we're offering for companies in the energy storage sector. And I hope there's still enough energy in this group as it's getting late already. But the Effizienzagentur NRW, whom I'm working for, or in short, 𝗕ૠ, is the #1 competence center in North Rhine-Westphalia for resource conservation. And we're doing this since 1998 already. And we provide support to businesses to advance their resource efficiency on the one hand side, but on the other side, to accelerate their transition to circular economy. But before I go towards our solution today, we need to talk about the priorities first. So we all know that the demand for batteries will skyrocket, and we need huge amounts of raw material for that. But raw materials are finite. Knowing that, it is kind of surprising that circularity still has a low priority in the energy transition so far. So let me start by adding some of the key drivers and also strategic reasons for circular activities to that. On the left-hand side, you see the problems related to our current linear take-make-waste system. And on the right side, you can see some circular opportunities to that. We have a rising raw material and energy prices. We have changing customer demands. We have regulatory requirements that are getting more and more. And on the other side, we can see that businesses working with circular and sustainable solutions, they see those as a major driver for innovation, but also for new business opportunities. And what does that mean looking at our work? When we look at a value chain, there are different circular strategies that can be applied. To extend the circularity of products, right now, most of us are focusing on recycling, which is super important, but we need to focus more on lifetime extension as well. Reuse, repair, remanufacture, and we need to include more parties and talk more about cooperation in the value chain as well. So from our perspective and how we are working, it's all about design. And we at 𝗕ૠ, when we are talking about design, we are not only talking about design of products, we're talking about the design of business models, about the design of processes and the value chains themselves. And we bring them all together on one table. And one practical approach that we offer to companies are our Circle workshops. Since 2021, we offer Circle tracks to companies at the moment in NRW. And the method is based on a study that was performed in 2015 by the TU Delft. One of those workshop tracks consists of 3 to 4 workshops and a self-learning phase and is done in 6 weeks. We normally have 10 to 12 companies in one track. They are taking place in the tracks with 2 to 4 persons, so with a complete team. And all workshops we perform are free of charge, as we are supported by the Ministry of Environment in NRW. And we have already 200 companies that we supported during our circle track so far. And the originator, our partners in the Netherlands, already have over 2,000 companies that took place in those workshops. And what is also very interesting is that it is getting international movement more and more, with 15 international hubs already. The 4 main reasons you see for taking place in one of those tracks is normally that you learn about design strategies, about business model strategies. But the main thing is that you develop your own circular project in that time. So you have the chance to look at your own value chain, and that you can perform, that you can work out a roadmap how to get more circular in that value chain, and to come back for the implementation with a plan how to do that, and with our support on the way to the implementation. So what is special now for like energy storage system, because that's why we're here, is that we have like this special opportunity that with the colleagues from the Netherlands, we can perform one special track for this value chain energy storage systems. I already mentioned that to be successful with this circular transition, we need to design also systems. And we need most of the stakeholders on the table. And that is why we decided to have this really like strategically important value chain in one of our next workshop series we're starting. What is also quite interesting, because we had just this presentation about e-bike batteries, is that we just decided yesterday to do the first workshop series in February, March, for the value chain e-bike batteries, because we already have 7 companies that want to join there. So if there's other like persons in here that would like to join, this is already online, and you can sign in with the QR code you see here. And then there's a second track planned for energy storage systems in general. So you can contact me about that if that is something you would be interested in, to do that in an international group of companies, and to exchange on the topic of circular design. I think that was my last. Yes, thank you so much. If there are any questions, I don't know how I'm about the time.
Yeah,
Max?
it's good that you come to an end. Overstepping a little bit, but that's the good thing about being the last speaker.
Okay, cool.
We have a couple of minutes for some more questions. So if there are questions from the audience, don't be shy. You can always ask them. Otherwise, let me start with the first question, since I can't see any raised hands from the audience. Very interesting. I like the idea of, or your approach to look not only at one company, to look at the system as well, because that needs to be changed in my opinion, in most of the times or cases as well. But first question, what are the companies you are looking for in terms of size or stages of development? Like if it's a startup without a real production line, but planning a production line, does it make sense to apply for a workshop like this? And on the other extreme, like really large companies with a very complex design or production line, does it make sense to join the workshop as well?
Both do, but the combination is what makes it best. So if we would have like a workshop series with 10 startups, it probably wouldn't be like very beneficial for them. And on the other hand side, if we would have like only the big players in one workshop series, it's probably the same, because they have a different approach to things. And what we want is to have those also different perspectives in one track. So it is really difficult if a startup just was founded and they're like still in the phase of don't know which direction we're going. It helps if you already have like an idea of your product, if your product already has like a design and also maybe suppliers you're talking to, because if that is the case, you will most likely be able to use all the methodology that 𝗕𝗁 offers. And for the big companies, we had huge players in our group, and it helps, especially when we're talking about designing a system, because it's all about scaling up. That's what, you just said earlier. We need the big players to work with us on those infrastructures, on take-back systems, and to get them on scale, because what we actually need is more speed on the transformation, and it helps if there's big players with it. And there's an example for like they did a track for wind power energy, offshore wind power in the Netherlands. And they had big players like Shell, for example, in the track, and it helped them to like get a good size for the.
Okay, thank you very much. So if there are more questions, you can always contact the speakers by LinkedIn or the email addresses they provided on their presentations. And yeah, with this, we are coming to an end of the last year's, the last event of this year of Battery Spotlight. Of course, we will continue next year. We are continuing on the 29th of January. So we have quite some time now to prepare the next speakers, to prepare the event. And with this, I thank all of the presenters. You did a marvelous job. I really liked this session this month or today. I personally learned a lot. And of course, I thank all of the participants, the listeners, to give us your trust to join this event, with the almost 60 persons to stuck with us until the end. And I think with this, all is said, except for that I wish you all a very nice and happy Christmas, and hopefully see you all again next year at the 29th of January, same time, as always.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much for
Thanks,
organizing
and
it. Well
Thank
done.
you very
see you
much.
next year.
Thank you.
Very much.
Next year.
That's all it is.
Here.
Bye.